Welcome to the Akron Roundtable. I am Michael Swartz, President of the Akron Roundtable Board of Directors. On behalf of the board, we appreciate each of you taking the time to be here with us today. Since 1976, the Akron Roundtable has been a gathering place for civic-minded people from all walks of life and an invaluable opportunity to gain new insights from a world-class speaker. Our speaker today will be no exception. We thank you for joining us today for this roundtable and are confident that you will find there is no better place to be on the third Thursday of each month. It's so tempting with this hat sitting here. The Akron Roundtable is grateful for the community support it receives from individuals, companies, and foundations. It is their investment which has allowed us to bring the world to Akron for nearly 40 years. Today's program is generously sponsored by the Conservancy for the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. Additionally, we would like to recognize the Akron Beacon Journal, Kiwanis Club, and the Greater Akron Chamber for being legacy sponsors. The Akron Roundtable receives financial assistance from local underwriters to host a number of high school students who are here with us today. I would like to have those students please stand and be recognized, and for us to give them and their sponsors a round of applause. The brochures at your table include a listing of the many organizations and individuals who support the Akron Roundtable. Complete information on all Roundtable programs can also be obtained by visiting our website at akronroundtable.org. Today's presentation will be broadcast on WKSU 89.7 FM on Thursday, October 22nd at 8 p.m. and is sponsored by Cascade Audi. During today's luncheon, the Roundtable will utilize Quail technology. This was formerly called Acre. This new mobile technology will enable audience members to submit questions for our presenter via mobile devices. Questions can be submitted, which can be done at any time, will be posed to our presenter later in the program. Simple instructions for using Quail technology are provided in the brochures at your table. At this time, I invite Sarah McBriar, Vice President of Kiwanis Club, to begin our luncheon with today's invocation and pledge of allegiance. Please stand.
We are blessed to live in an area where there is an abundance of natural resources, beautiful freshwater lakes, parks for recreation, agriculture, clean air, and 4 seasons to replenish these resources. We are thankful for those who continue to be good stewards of our environment, reminding us to never take our blessings for granted. A power greater than ourselves has entrusted us with this tremendous responsibility so future generations can lead healthy, sustainable lives. We ask our speaker today to give us better understanding of how each of us can make a difference. Bless this food to the strengthening of our bodies so we are ready when called upon for service. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Please be seated and enjoy your lunch. We'll begin our program promptly at 12:20. I am Michael Swartz, President of the Akron Roundtable Board of Directors. The Roundtable is brought to you over radio station WKSU 89.7 FM from the Quaker Station at the Quaker Inn on the campus of the University of Akron. The radio broadcast is underwritten by Cascade Audi. Today's program is generously sponsored by the Conservancy for the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. Additionally, we would like to recognize the Greater Akron Chamber, Kiwanis Club of Akron, and the Akron Beacon Journal for being legacy sponsors. Please mark your calendar now for our next roundtable scheduled on Thursday, November 19th, when the Akron Roundtable will host John Farber, head of Old Trail School. His presentation remarks are titled, From One Room Schoolhouse to Collaboration on the Cloud, the future of education in the United States. To make a reservation for any of the Akron Roundtable luncheons or to purchase a subscription to our luncheon series, please visit our website at akronroundtable.org. Today, the Akron Roundtable is pleased to host Craig Kenkel, Superintendent, Cuyahoga Valley National Park, who will present on the topic Cuyahoga Valley and the 2016 National Park Service Centennial, Connecting to the Future. I will now ask longtime member of the Conservancy for the Cuyahoga Valley National Park and fellow Roundtable board member, Sandra Smith, to introduce our speaker.
Good afternoon. This September and October, we have had some glorious fall days, and I hope all of you have had the chance, or will have the chance, to experience our incredible national park, either by walking, running, hiking, biking, driving, or just looking at the beautiful photographs in the Cuyahoga Valley National Park calendar. As you know from the title of today's talk, the National Park Service, a bureau of the Department of the Interior that manages the national park system, will be celebrating its centennial in 2016. You will be hearing more about this from our speaker. Before introducing him, though, I would like to recognize members of the National Park Service here with us today. The senior staff, Deputy Superintendent Paul Stair and Jenny Bassarelli, Chief of Interpretation, would you and all of the other members of the National Park Service please stand so we can see who you are. In addition, there are also members from several park partners, including the Countryside Conservancy, the Cuyahoga Valley Scenic Railroad, and our sponsor for today's program, the Conservancy for the CVNP, which is the Friends Group, and it is headed by CEO Deb Yandala and John Debo, who is the Chief Development Officer. Would you please stand, and also other members of the Conservancy staff who are here with us today. These individuals don't often get to circulate in the neighborhood, in downtown and in Akron. They're always busy out in the park or in their offices, so I thought it would be nice for you to see who they were today. Thanks to the National Park Service, the Cuyahoga Valley National Park has been fortunate to have had outstanding leadership since its inception 41 years ago. Our current and fifth superintendent, Craig Kenkel, carries on that tradition. Craig comes to us from his latest assignment in California, but he had no difficulty making the transition to the Midwest. He grew up on a family farm in Iowa, which is still in existence, with 9 brothers and sisters, including a set of twin girls, and he himself is a twin, so it's a total of 10 at this point. Craig graduated from Iowa State University with a degree in architecture. During the 1990s, he worked in the Midwest Regional Office of the National Park Service in Omaha, Nebraska, and often had the occasion to visit the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. His interest in architecture and subsequently in historic preservation and cultural resources served him well here, since his superintendency also includes the James A. Garfield National Historic Site in Mentor, the First Lady's National Historic Site in Canton. It is always a pleasure to be in the company of Craig. He is personable, outgoing, energetic, and exudes enthusiasm for his work. He loves our national park and wants all of us to love it as much as he does. Please join me in welcoming Craig to the Akron Roundtable.
Wow. Thank you for that warm welcome. And yes, I am a Midwesterner at heart. Always have been, always will be, no matter where I am in this world. Thank you also to the Akron Roundtable, to Mike, for inviting me to be with you all today, and thank you for the warm welcome. A show of hands, how many of you have recently been to Cuyahoga Valley National Park? That is awesome. Almost every single one of you, so I'm preaching to the choir, right? What I hope to do with this presentation is to give you an overview on where Cuyahoga Valley National Park is today. Sort of a very mini state of the park, if you will. And to also introduce you to the centennial of the National Park Service and what we hope to achieve through the centennial. So Cuyahoga Valley National Park really provides us a wonderful opportunity. An opportunity to define what it means to be a national park in an urban environment. That's something that's been an experiment for 41 years now. I have to say that we're doing it quite well. But by looking at this image of Blue Hen Falls, you could probably imagine yourself being in a remote, iconic national park instead of one that's close to millions of people. The National Park Service Centennial is officially August 25th of next year. And the theme of the Centennial, one of the themes, is to look at that linkage, that interface between our national parks and our American communities. That theme is something that really resonates with us here at Cuyahoga Valley and in Northeast Ohio. Cuyahoga Valley, as a national park, is 41 years old. It's a mature park. It's a park that is fully programmed, and it's a park that is almost completely built out. We still have a few small and one big project yet to do, which I'm confident will get done with the support of the Conservancy. We are well positioned now to make a much stronger connection to our communities around the park. Today, as a national park, we are linked to the communities around us. We share the heritage of the valley with communities. Cuyahoga Valley has long been a place where urban residents went for a retreat in the countryside. The community was the driving force for establishing this national park through citizen advocates and through strong local political leadership. We also have physical connections between the park and our communities, such as the Towpath Trail, the Cuyahoga Valley Scenic Railroad, and of course, the Scenic Byway. The towpath, the railroad, and the Scenic Byway are all core to the National Heritage Area, the Ohio and Erie Canalway that surrounds and embraces our national park. One of the most important physical links between the park and communities is the Cuyahoga River. The river was greatly influenced by us through urban development, and the river in turn has greatly influenced our lives, especially as we embraced environmentalism and recovering and repairing the environment that we live in. Being part of the community means we give back. We do so in many ways. One of them is through health and fitness, outdoor recreation, and by being part of the local food movement through the Countryside Initiative Farms. We contribute to education, and we do that best and most robustly through in-place education. One of the programs that we're especially pleased with, that we value very dearly, is the 10-day summer enrichment program that we have with Akron students who are rising into grade 9. Through this program, we have been asked to help with their transition from being at-risk kids to successful high school students. It's a very rewarding program for our staff. The Cuyahoga Valley is also an economic driver for our community. We are a community asset that can help attract and retain local talent in the workforce. We are also becoming more and more a major tourism destination, bringing people and money to Northeast Ohio, to Akron, to Cleveland, to all the communities around the park. We are a source of jobs. A 2015 report shows that 2.2 million visitors came to Cuyahoga Valley National Park in 2014, and they spent $136 million in the communities surrounding the park. Those dollars supported 2,300 local jobs. Our work in habitat restoration not only benefits the ecosystem and environment of the national park, it benefits all of us in our daily lives. I believe we work at a high level of excellence in Cuyahoga Valley National Park, but we don't do this by ourselves. We do it with a lot of very important and strong community support. We are well regarded within the National Park Service as being a place of innovation. We achieve that level of expertise, though, through community support. That community support comes in many ways. One of them is through our 3 cooperating partners that Sandra introduced to you. They make our ability to provide visitor experiences and to care for park resources much easier. They also engage the community through philanthropy to support their activities, their mission in the park. Those partners include the Cuyahoga Valley Scenic Railroad. Craig Tallman, CEO, is with us today. The Countryside Conservancy, and Darwin Kelsey, Executive Director, and staff are with us as well. And of course, the Conservancy for Cuyahoga Valley National Park. And Sandra introduced Deb and John and their staff earlier as well. Cuyahoga Valley, the Conservancy for Cuyahoga Valley National Park is our Friends Group. They're an operating partner for education, volunteerism, and programs. As our Friends Group, by the way, they're one of the best and most highly regarded Friends groups out there supporting national parks, probably in the top 3 or 4 across the system, across the service. Our Friends Group engages the community in the park through membership, philanthropy, advocacy, and volunteerism. The volunteerism for Cuyahoga Valley National Park is absolutely incredible. 6,000 volunteers contribute around 200,000 hours a year, and that has a value of $4.3 million in terms of labor to the national park. If any of you are volunteers in the park for Cuyahoga Valley, I thank you deeply for your contribution and commitment. And although I mentioned that we're nearly fully built out, we're always seeking ways to improve and enhance the park and the programs we provide. One example is by expanding into mountain biking, providing a new outdoor recreational opportunity. And in May of next year, our first mountain bike trail, East Rim Trail, will be formally dedicated and opened. So we'll join a very elite group of parks, about 6 of the 408 in the national park system, that provide for this outdoor recreation. Another area of growth, one of positive change, is that instead of now telling people to avoid the Cuyahoga River because it's not healthy, we're actually encouraging them to get into the river, to enjoy it. And we're doing that by having a Nowcast app or website that lets visitors check in and understand what the quality of the river is. And we're also doing that by putting in some modest put-ins and takeouts for paddlers so that they can access the river and play in it. We truly expect this outdoor recreational activity to continue to increase as the years go by. And we're also working, again, on improving the quality of the Cuyahoga River. And one of our biggest projects is the removal or the modification of the Brecksville Dam, which will enhance paddler access to the river, as well as improve habitat for fish. So now let's talk about the centennial of the National Park Service. It's a big birthday, 100 years. With the centennial, we'll celebrate our past, but we'll also launch into our second century of service, of care of our national parks, and connecting to communities across America. The overall goal of the centennial is to connect with and create the next generation of park visitors, advocates, and supporters. That's the millennial generation, and then Generation Z that's coming behind them. I'm greatly pleased and appreciative of your commitment to Cuyahoga Valley National Park. And we also need to be encouraging the generation coming behind us to find us, enjoy us, and support our national parks. So that's what the centennial is really all about. Cuyahoga Valley is a great fit for that goal. Two aspects of the centennial are especially relevant to us, and that is the centennial campaign and the urban agenda. The centennial campaign, again, is about increasing public awareness and redefining what a park means. Redefining what a park means. We all have that traditional definition in our head about a park, whether it's a local playground or Yosemite. But our goal is to encourage people to think of a park as not only being a place, but being a passion or a state of mind. And the reason for that is to be more inclusive, to understand and engage our diverse citizenry, and to be relevant. So the campaign invites everyone to find your park. And when you find your park, share your experience online with us. Tell us what you value about your park, whether it's your backyard or Cuyahoga Valley National Park. Its history, its culture, its nature, its science, its solitude, its high action, whatever that value may be. We want to better understand what parks mean to the next generation of park users. Another example of how we're increasing public awareness is through the Every Kid in the Park project. And what that means is that every fourth grader in America and his or her family gets a free pass to federal public lands for 1 year to encourage them to get out with their families, their grandparents, to connect with and discover national parks and other places of beauty and conservation that the federal government cares for. You'll also find that national parks across the system are currently and through 2016 hosting many centennial events to celebrate our national parks. One example will be next spring here at Cuyahoga Valley, we'll be doing something called BioBlitz, where within a very short amount of time, I think 24 hours or 48, 24, my Chief of Resources Management is nodding yes and sweating over it. Within 24 hours, we invite the community to come in and help us inventory all of the species in the national park. It's hectic, it's a lot of fun. It's at night and during the day. And if you're interested, please see Lisa. You can learn more about what's being planned at Cuyahoga Valley National Park to celebrate the centennial by going online to the park site or to the sites of any of our park partners. As part of the centennial and moving into our second generation of service, our director, John Jarvis, has launched what he calls the Urban Agenda. Realizing that over 80% of Americans live in urban communities, and that 1/3 of the 408 national parks are in or near urban communities, it just seems kind of logical that we should put our focus on those places to better connect with new park users. Here at Cuyahoga Valley, we have a perfect opportunity to be part of the Urban Agenda. Also, what was announced in this last year, I believe, were 10 or 11 urban fellows that were placed in major urban cities across the United States to be a catalyst for working with communities to achieve the urban agenda. Chances are Cleveland and Akron will be in the second or third round of having an urban fellow come to us. And that's because we're doing so much better than a lot of the other cities. But it's more than just getting city dwellers out into our national parks. The National Park Service has over 40 community programs that are generally not well known or branded. You've heard me mention a couple times that we have 408 units in the National Park system. Our community programs have done work in every county of the United States. That's 3,143 counties. Imagine if all of those projects had an arrowhead on them. Will we get a little bit of attention then? I think so. The results of these projects really represent the same values that we strive to meet in our national parks: conservation, preservation, and commemoration of heritage, and so forth. Programs such as Rivers and Trails Conservation Assistance, the Federal Historic Tax Credit Program, through which owners who are seeking to do qualified rehabilitation of their properties can get a 25% tax credit on the cost of that rehab. Land and Water Conservation Fund, which gives grants out to local communities for building playgrounds, connecting trails, creating recreational experiences in their communities. Those are just a few examples of these community programs. And to be honest with you, these programs are not well understood. Internally, we are in silos. So one of the director's goals is to really break those silos down and integrate what we call our internal and external programs to be one NPS, so that we can more effectively and more successfully engage with communities about serving them and improving quality of life in our urban cities. So if my technological savviness works, I'm going to show a video.
There are oceans and rocks, places where fish swim and birds fly, where mountains spring up and trees and grass grow all around. History is made, art is created, things happen that should always be remembered. Heroes emerge. A woman sets people free, a man makes light, a leader steps forward. People get together, they help each other out, they make their own places to run and play and contemplate the universe. There's pride and gratitude and fun. It belongs to everyone. It can be a place, a feeling, a state of mind. So get up, get out there, and find your part.
So I'll close with a call to action challenge to all of you. Help us take advantage of the opportunity of the centennial to further bind our national park to community. Invite us to partner and to be part of your community in a much stronger and more robust way. Share your Cuyahoga Valley National Parks stories on social media, like us on our Facebook page, use the Twitter hashtags to share your experiences. Sign up with one of our partners to get their electronic newsletter so that you can be always informed about what they're doing and what's happening in Cuyahoga Valley National Park. And by all means, go out and find your park. Enjoy it, support it, love it, and I thank you for being with me today.
Our speaker has graciously agreed to respond to your questions either through mobile devices using Quail technology, or there are note cards on your tables if you'd like to write down your question. They'll be collected and presented by our program chair, David Hunter.
Superintendent Kenkel, thank you for your thoughtful comments. We'll start with this question. In your remarks, you noted that the Cuyahoga Valley National Park really has to be viewed as a mature park. And I guess as a community, we've come a long way over those 40 years since the land acquisition process in the mid-'70s, where many people didn't understand the concept of an urban park, and many people even wondered aloud why we were even creating a park in northeastern Ohio when, as they correctly noted, there were neither buffalo nor geysers in Peninsula. But share with us, if you will, what you mean by saying the park is almost built out and what your vision is for the park 5 years from now.
Thanks for that question. And what I mean by the park being almost built out would be in the classic sense of what you may find and experience if you go to an iconic Western park. Cuyahoga Valley has trails, infrastructure, amenities to support both its operation as well as visitor experiences in the park. So in that traditional sense, we're almost built out. The great advantage that Cuyahoga Valley National Park has is being in its urban setting where we have the ability to connect with visitors in a more personal and direct way, especially visitors who are repeat visitors. So that allows us to really benefit from very active and dedicated volunteerism. For the future, Cuyahoga Valley and the National Park Service will play a more stronger role in spreading our values and helping others achieve the same kind of success in their communities. So whether that be helping complete the towpath to the lake or to creating experiences for urban kids to get into the park and better learn from it, learn about the outdoors, or the National Park Service going to where they live and teaching them how to find national park values in their own neighborhood. So that's where our future lies.
Let's turn our attention to a serious topic that's been in the forefront of many people's thinking over the last month. There are a lot of activities that take place in the park, not the least of which is cycling. One of our more avid and enthusiastic cyclists presents this question. Within the last 30 days, 5 bicyclists have been hit by a motor vehicle on or near park roads, including 2 fatalities. What can the park do to make the park roads safer for cyclists?
Very good question, and of course our hearts go out to the families who lost loved ones. What's interesting about Cuyahoga Valley compared to a park like Yosemite or the Grand Canyon is that the roads within the park are not owned by the federal government. So we work in collaboration with the local municipalities that own and maintain those roads. And what we need to do, our law enforcement specialists will continue to collaborate with the local law enforcement agencies for our communities to see if we can come up with mutual recommendations for how to make the roads safe for cyclists. And whether that's bike lanes or dealing with other features that will help control how cyclists and automobiles share the road remains to be seen. But it's through collaboration with law enforcement in our local communities that we'll do that.
I've got a couple of questions here which seem to be an important topic with our audience, and that relates to the fact that we have an organization here that has to rely on federal funding. First, let's pose a question that deals with the process. It seems like the national parks turns out to be a sort of a political lightning rod with the ever-increasing frequent budget squabbles as sort of the most visible way to inflict pain on the public and shine a light on a budget standoff here. Is there anything that the National Park Service can do, or we as voting citizens in the country, to change that mindset?
First of all, thank you so much for expressing your concern when the national parks are closed during a federal government shutdown. That tells us that people value our parks, they're paying attention, and they support us. When the federal government runs out of money, we are mandated to close our parks. If we were to keep them open, we would still be spending federal dollars that we don't have. So even though it sounds like a simple effort, it really is Herculean in one sense to close the park down. As we unfortunately experience more and more shutdowns, we are learning how to make some of our park partners and some of our visitors' experiences in national parks more resilient and allowing some things to continue to happen even during a shutdown. And that would be where if there's activities happening that don't require national park employees to be on site to support them, to make sure the public stays safe, and to make sure park resources are not damaged during a shutdown, then we may consider letting those continue to happen. But it's sort of an evolving situation, and it really depends on the tone and expectations that our political leaders, directors, and the Secretary of the Interior set for us.
Obviously, one of the larger challenges of managing any national park is resource allocation. Several people in the audience have noted this. You noted that we're going to become like the 6th park out of 408 nationwide to have a mountain bike section. Obviously, that's a new development. And you have to balance that against a certain section of the park, like the carriage trail loop just north of Red Lock, which has precarious bridges, been shut down for well over 5 years. How do you make those decisions? How do you balance those interests? And where does the Conservancy come in as a possible supplementary funding source to help reach all of these broad needs?
So Cuyahoga Valley National Park, as well as all the national parks in the system, our budget has been flat since 2009. So what that does mean is that we have to be much more thoughtful, much more careful in how we allocate the federal funds we get towards operations and towards making improvements in our national parks. We're very fortunate to have the Conservancy for Cuyahoga Valley National Park be an advocate for us in terms of creating new experiences and creating new amenities in our national park. And we rely heavily on their philanthropic energy to bring dollars in to support the federal dollars that we put towards those endeavors. We always look at what might be the additional operational costs of any new feature or program that we're proposing to stand up in the park. And we're very thoughtful about reducing operations in one area to allow us to take on operations for something that may be more relevant to park visitors. And just one little note about Old Trail Bridges. We got word that we will most likely be receiving funding in this fiscal year to design and replace at least one of those bridges, if not all of them. So I think we're on the road to rehabilitating that trail.
Thanks for that good news. We have many, many questions, as you'd expect. Not enough time to ask them all. We have time for just several more. In your remarks, you commented upon the Cuyahoga River and the quality of the water. Those of us in Akron are quite familiar with the challenges the city faces here in dealing with an extensive sewer repair that will have quite a price tag on it. Can you comment on the current condition of the river water now? Is it getting cleaner? Is it staying the same, or is it regressing?
The Cuyahoga River is gradually getting cleaner, and a lot of that is the result of the commitment of communities to upgrade their waste treatment facilities. The river also benefits from communities putting in place surface water control measures that keep surface water from really running into the park, slow it down, retain it, help it get cleansed before it enters the river ecosystem. So it is getting cleaner, yes.
We'll close with a comment here and then a final question. The comment is, and I love this from a member of the audience, no question, just an enormous thank you for giving us the best park in the country. We are so very fortunate. And we'd like to close with this question. close with this question. We have several members of the audience who seem to be enamored with the ranger hats. And they wanted to know if there's any way this unique headgear can be purchased.
The answer would be no. But I don't know if it's a tradition here at Cuyahoga Valley, but at Golden Gate National Recreation Area and in some of the parks out west, if there is a citizen that makes sustained and substantial contributions to the stewardship, I'm serious, to the stewardship of their national park, they receive a gold ranger hat. So I throw the challenge out to all of you, and I'll let you wear it for 60 seconds for a $100 donation. And one last comment, we have park brochures outside on the table, so feel free to pick one up. Thank you.
Craig, thank you so much for your remarks, and we appreciate all your work and your team's work on a resource that's so invaluable to our community. In recognition of you being here today, it is my pleasure to present you with a contemplative sun as a memento of your visit with us this afternoon. This celebratory work of art was designed exclusively for the Akron Roundtable by Akron artist and craftsman Don Drum. We look forward to you joining us at Quaker Station in downtown Akron on Thursday, November 19th, when the Akron Roundtable will host John Farber, head of Old Trail School, whose presentation remarks are titled From One Room Schoolhouse to Collaboration on the Cloud, the Future of Education in the United States. Thank you for being with us today, and we look forward to seeing you next month.